And so what I'm trying to get at here is perhaps the strategy that we do, the duty that we do in order to experience love again is kind of interesting to me. Because let's say that what you're feeling when you start to feel uncomfortable, what if that actually was love? What if that was love? And it made you so fucking uncomfortable that you had to come up with a story so that you can experience that which you feel uncomfortable about. And so, what is that activity actually doing? This narrative, this thing. What is that activity? If that uncomfortable feeling is love, that activity that you require yourself to experience love is to get away from love. To get away from the thing that you feel uncomfortable about. Because the very thing that you're experiencing is so overwhelming, and it's like an energy that reaches a higher and higher potency. The more you take a step back and say, hey, I'm just going to experience what it's like to feel this. I'm going to try out what it feels like to not give in to the temptation of the, whatever story, however benevolent you want to paint it. It's still an activity that is designed to get you away from a feeling that is uncomfortable, which may very well be love itself. It's something that you've not really wanted to look at. That's my point. My point is the story is a distraction from a feeling that you don't really want to know. And so what it is that we feel, what it is that we experience that we don't really want to know is some part of ourselves that is love. And there's a lot of creative energy in it. And so yes, love is the fuel that propels us to create. But we don't have to create based on an unconscious narrative of this is the correct way to get back to love. Once you start to pay attention to the experience itself and become more interested in what it is that you're actually experiencing, then you can make more conscious decisions in your life about what you want to create. And you don't have to grab at the first thing that feels familiar, the first thing that feels safe, the first thing that paints you in a picture of I am a good person because I am doing these things. Can't you see that I am doing these good things so that I am a good person? How silly would it be that, what are you suggesting? That I don't love my children? That I don't spend time with my children? That I don't feed the homeless? That I don't do all of these benevolent activities in my life? Well, no, you can do all that stuff. All I'm saying is allow yourself to really understand the choice within that, the freedom that exists within you to create. And then to see the love is in that uncomfortable feeling. And then you don't have to create out of a feeling of unworthiness, of lack, of like, I will be a good person if I do this. No, you can do the things and feel like you're a good person before having to, drag yourself through things that you do half-heartedly. What if you actually did things from a full heart? What if you actually did things with the knowing of goodness that doesn't subside once you don't get the crack, like once you don't get the thing that you're addicted to, your habits, your patterns, whatever, pious activity is your drug of choice, or whatever kind of like vile, depraved ass activity, that you do that, like, well, I have to fucking, act out in this fucking destructive way. Otherwise, I can't exist, it's like, I have to do it. It's like some other part of me has possessed me, like a demon. And now I have to do these things, it's not really me that's doing these things, So it's like, stop doing these like animal sacrifices. Stop doing these human sacrifices. Stop making other people subject to your fucking like story about, well, I gotta give you my service so that I can love you. Don't you see that I'm giving you this gift of my like half-heartedness so that I can feel my love for you? No, just be with that feeling within yourself before it needs to turn into like some snake, that has to like slither through the grass where you don't really see what you're really being motivated by, which is your discomfort with love, essentially. You're like trying to create an activity to get away from what it is that you're experiencing. Because fundamentally what you're experiencing is yourself, and so like, if you can't be comfortable in that experience, then you're not comfortable with love. And so, like, this is an interesting thing. Another thing, I thought about it like hatred, like, what is hatred? Well, hatred is not really hatred. It's like the thing that we feel uncomfortable about, that we want to get away from, like we want to get away from the hatred, we need to do this activity, we need to be violent, we need retribution, we need justice. People justify acting out with their hatred, and they say, well, that's justice, It's like we invented an entire legal system around being uncomfortable with feeling with what is, which is, what we call hatred. And it's very uncomfortable to feel hatred, so we need to create a system where we can get retribution to punish the evil people of the world, so that we can feel love again. So we can feel inner peace, serenity. But what if we could feel serenity while we were completely engulfed and surrounded by the most intense experience in our life, because we didn't lash out, What if we just allowed that bomb inside of us to grow and grow and grow until we were able to find some peace with this experience, that we could hold on to ourselves enough so that even with the intensity of life surging through us, wanting to branch out into all these different directions of like these manifestations. I want to manifest this, I want to manifest that. What if we could just be with it without having to create a story around it? That is what gives us choice, real choice. That is where we become conscious, because we're not acting from a predetermined idea of what is good and what is evil. Or what is like some pattern that I need to follow in order to dissipate uncomfortable energy. What if we stopped looking at energy as a negative thing, and we were able to hold on to it before having to like release it to make these like half-hearted, sort of malformed, abridged versions of what is really possible to achieve when we allow our container to continue to expand so that we can be filled with more and more energy. And then we can really pay attention to, okay, now I have more power. Now I can really make something cool. Now I can create an entire universe because I have this energy, I have all this fuel inside of me, and I didn't direct it into these things that were really just little stories, little tiny stories that'll be forgotten inside the big, ever-shifting currents of the world, where we felt like we needed some sense of importance, some story to tell us who we are rather than to be with who we are. Whether it is a desire to be demonic or a desire to be angelic, these are both stories, These are, perception. And these, the people take on the character sort of that they feel allows them to do the thing that they want to do. So they wear the suit, for the job that they want, essentially, in this life. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing to me, It's this idea that we need a portal in order to experience love, when the very thing that we're experiencing may be the thing that we need to pay attention to, rather than going off half-cocked, based on some narrative. Anyhow, I'll just leave it here. Have a good one.